Top of the morning to you. Speaker Mike Johnson, decked out in his green tie, just forced the SAVE Act down Democrats' throats, or at least he will if the Senate won't vote on it. We'll show you exactly what he had to say. He said it just about an hour ago. Also, Nick Shirley does it again. This guy should win a Pulitzer. Actually, no, he's too good for the Pulitzer. He's in California this time, and the heartbreaking fraud that he has exposed there. I mean, the one thing I'll say for Californians, at least they could spell learning right, but that's about all they got. We'll show you that coming up in a moment. And St. Patrick's Day special. Young actor you may know named Jerry O'Connell sat down and tried to defend woke Hollywood with Bill Maher. It didn't end well for our friend. I hope you're all decked out in green, because I'm already drunk. My name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry. I'm not drunk. I'm kidding. I'm not drunk. But I will be by the time we're done. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Early onset dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise. Reports show a 373% increase in diagnoses among 30 to 44-year-olds and a 311% increase in 45 to 54-year-olds in the U.S. in recent years. Now, when doctors treat brain diseases, they often focus on medicating the brain itself, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause, which is chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. Now, these factors damage brain cells and lead to the buildup of toxic proteins, the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. But like much of the body, many brain issues trace back to the gut microbiome. There's a direct connection line between your gut and your brain, the gut-brain axis, where your gut bacteria influence inflammation, mood, memory, cognitive function. And that's why what you eat matters so much. Kimchi contains over 900 probiotic strains, and studies such as this show its bioactive compounds help reduce inflammation, protect brain cells, and even improve memory and cognitive function by preventing amyloid beta plaque buildup. And that's why our friends at Brightcore created Kimchi One. Kimchi One delivers all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell, virtually no sodium, non-GMO, and 100% made in the U.S. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below or by scanning that QR code you see, and you'll get 25% off your entire order. Or you can just go to brightcore.com/Larry. And if you want an even better deal, why don't you give my friends at Brightcore a call? They're really friendly. They'll talk your ear off. And by the end of the call, you'll get up to 50% off your order and free shipping. So give them a call now, 888-462-4779. Whew, that really worked up a thirst. Oh, it's going to be fun. Just moments ago, in the House of Representatives press room, Speaker Mike Johnson had a press conference where he took up the issue of the SAVE Act because, over in the Senate, they'll bring it up for a vote and there'll be speeches and there'll be a lot of harumphing and they'll dither and then they're not going to do anything. Well, Mike Johnson is ready for that. Take it away, Mr. Speaker.
And the story led with the lead. Democrats' favorability is lower than the Dead Sea. Okay, they're at negative 55 percentage points of favorability. Negative net 55% in the open polling. And among independents, Democrats in Congress are at negative 60%. They should just retire. They should just throw in the white towel and give us the Congress so we can fix this mess and stop the charade. This midterm election that we're coming up on is a contrast election. This is not I was talking with Newt Gingrich the other night, and he brought the contract with America. This is a contrast for America. That's what we have. This is common sense, the Republican Party and our policies versus crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy. And
it's the contrast for America. And yes, you heard right. He's picking up on President Trump's line from the State of the Union. These people are crazy. Common sense, crazy. Listen, I get it. People are frustrated with Republicans in Congress. It's bad. But you know what's worse? Being a Democrat in Congress right now. And that's an opening if you know what you're doing politically. And that's why he raised the SAVE Act. Because last I checked, it's pretty damn popular.
Look, we're not going to litigate all that. I can tell you what I'll tell Democrats. You should listen to the American people. Ostensibly, we're supposed to come here and represent the interests of the American people. This is a 90-10 issue in public opinion polling, and Democrats agree that you should be a citizen and have a photo ID to vote at a tune of about 70%. So there's no argument that you shouldn't do this. If they want free and fair elections, if they don't think fraud should be a problem, then they should vote to enforce federal law. It's already the law, as you know. It's already the law that you have to be a citizen to vote in American elections, and we should enforce that. And having a photo ID, you have to have a photo ID to do everything in American society. Why not to vote? It's ridiculous for them to oppose it. We are cheering along the Senate Republicans and trying to force this through. Hopefully, we can get this to the president's desk for signature. It's a top priority, not just for Republicans in Congress. Again, common sense versus crazy. It's crazy to say that you should not be a citizen or not have ID to vote. And it is common sense, and it comports to the American people.
All right. Now, he seems pretty motivated, and he's right about it, although he did say we're going to sit back, we're going to let the Senate do its thing, and we're going to cheer them on. But look for, if there is failure in the Senate, look for the SAVE Act under a different incarnation to be embedded into what they like to call must-pass bills, things that you can't vote against. And then they just, and you may not like it. I don't like it when they do this. They put together a whole package of things, and then they jam it through, and they say, you got to vote on it. Well, that's how a lot of crap gets done, and that might be how this gets done. All right, speaking on behalf of the Democrats, the people who don't want to have any sort of enforcement mechanism to make sure only citizens are voting. The people who don't want to have any sort of enforcement mechanism to make sure that the people who show up to vote are actually the people they claim that they are. The people who like the rigged system the way it is. Speaking on their behalf, the fine young gentleman from Connecticut, Chris Murphy.
Donald Trump said this week that his number one priority is not properly running this disastrous war with Iran or lowering energy prices or helping you afford health care. No, his number one priority is rigging the election. The President of the United States knows that he cannot win if the rules are fair.
I just want you to think about the language being used here. It is the law right now that only U.S. citizens can vote. Republicans and 90% of Americans support the idea that you actually enforce that law by having someone prove they're a citizen when they go to vote. And Chris Murphy, on behalf of the Democrats, says that's rigging the election. Chris Murphy says that that's changing the rules that are currently fair. See, Chris Murphy thinks that it's fair to not check if somebody's a citizen or not. Have you stopped and asked yourself, again, this is basic politics 101, all right? And you do not have to be a conspiracy theorist to put your thinking cap on and logically connect the dots. This is something, as we will show you in a moment, that polls anywhere between 85% to 95% amongst Americans that you support this and you think that it's common sense. And that's all Americans. So why would Democrats who currently hold elected office be willing to die on this hill? Have you ever seen a politician like Chris Murphy and his pals in their party go to such great lengths to keep something that anywhere between 85 and 95% of Americans agree with? Ever? Why on earth would they do that? And as soon as you start to connect the dots and recognize that the thing that they're so willing to martyr themselves over and die on the hill of is the very thing that ensures that the basics of election integrity are enforced in this country, well, then I think the question answers itself, doesn't it? But go ahead, Chris Murphy. You tell us how it's Trump wanting to rig the election.
Because he's super unpopular, and this war with Iran is making him even more unpopular. And so now he's saying that he will not sign any other legislation until Congress puts on his desk something called the Save America Act. This is a piece of legislation that seeks to give the federal government control over state elections. Connecticut's elections be put in the hands of the federal government. How does the bill do that? Well, First of all, it just knocks a whole bunch of people off the voter rolls. It effectively makes you get a passport if you want to register to vote.
I'm going to have to just interrupt here and knock down all of the lies that he's telling you. First of all, a law in Washington, D.C. that says that you have to be a citizen to vote in federal elections is in some way the federal government controlling state elections? Okay, so the law I just articulated, that you have to be a citizen to vote in federal elections, that's not the Save America Act. That's not some piece of legislation even. It's the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution states that. So it is not the federal government and Washington, D.C. controlling state elections. It's the federal government saying, hey, the Constitution says only citizens can vote. And, I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, but for the last 4 or 5 years when Mashed Potato Brains was president, we had 5, 10, 15, 20 million people let into this country illegally. And now we got governors like Tim Walz or Gavin Newsom giving them all driver's license. Maybe, just maybe, we should make sure none of these people are registered to vote, right? That's not Washington, D.C. controlling state elections. That's your federal government enforcing the Constitution. Okay, that's number one. Number two, bunch of people are going to get knocked off the voter rolls. Hey, guys, could you crowdsource this for me? If we've got a new law that says that you have to be a U.S. citizen to be registered to vote, and then you get knocked off the voter rolls, go ahead and let us know in the live chat or in the comment section. What does that mean about you? If you get knocked off the voter rolls when there's a new law that says you have to be a U.S. citizen to be on the voter rolls, what does that mean? If A plus B equals right, can you help me out there? Because he doesn't get it. You're right. A lot of people will be purged off the voter rolls. You know who those people are? All right. Go ahead, Chris. You got more.
States to purge a lot of voters from their list if they haven't voted in the last couple of years. And it basically requires states to hand over their voter lists to the federal government so that Donald Trump can monkey around in the state's voter list and decide who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote. This is the end of our democracy if the federal government, if Donald Trump and Stephen Miller take over state elections, if they get control of who can vote and who can't vote in Connecticut or California or Pennsylvania or Texas. But Donald Trump now is resorted to trying to steal the election because he can't win it if the election is fair. Gas prices are going up. The war in Iran is super unpopular. 20 million Americans are having their healthcare premiums be jacked up. Just know that this is where we are. We kind of knew that it might come to this point, but the president has said, I will not govern. I will not sign any piece of legislation that comes across my desk, even if it's good for the American people, until you give me a bill that allows me and Stephen Miller to take over state elections so that we can make sure that not a single Democrat wins in this country.
All right, so no, listen, I have no doubt that there are people in Connecticut who believe all of that garbage, but so much of that was just a big old pile of stinking, smelly Chris Murphy, okay? And you know that. You're smart enough to know that. But let's just be clear here, okay? When he says Donald Trump is not going to govern, he refuses to govern or pass any piece of legislation or sign any bill, even if it's good for the American people, until he gets this. Well, spoiler alert, the Democrats have decided that they're not going to govern, and they're not going to look at any other piece of legislation, so long as Republicans insist on having a floor vote on the SAVE Act. You see, that's how filibusters work. When Majority Leader Thune brings this bill up for debate tomorrow, the Democrats will grind everything to a halt, and they will just continue talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and don't let anything else get done. So even if you buy his argument that Trump's going to refuse to govern, okay, the same can be said about Democrats. The difference is Donald Trump says he's not going to sign a bill unless we make sure only U.S. citizens are registered to vote. Chris Murphy and his pals in the Senate, the Democrats, they refuse to debate or discuss or vote on another bill as long until they remove that provision. And let me rephrase this. Donald Trump refuses to sign a bill until he gets insurance that we only have citizens registered to vote. Chris Murphy and his pals, the Democrats in the Senate, they refuse to discuss any other bill or allow any other vote to happen in the Senate so that they can keep non-citizens voting in our elections. That's the bottom line of what's going on here. And I know they don't have the votes in the Senate, and I know they're okay, fine. Go ahead and let's have the debate so we can get lots of video of Chris Murphy dying on this hill, saying, no, over my dead body, will you make sure that non-citizens are purged off of our voter bills? I want that video. I'm ready to produce the TV ads for November. All right, wrap it up here, Chris.
I've been calling this a constitutional crisis for the better part of a year, but this is a new low. This is a new red alert moment.
Yeah, this time I really mean it. It's a constitutional crisis. Their constitutional crisis was the moment Donald Trump was sworn into office, okay? That's who these people are. Oh, and then the other thing that he just said, he's trying to distract from the war in Iran. He's trying to distract from affordability problems. He's trying to distract from gas prices. He's trying to distract. Yeah, because you know what? It never occurred to Donald Trump to make sure that only U.S. citizens were registered to vote. This whole idea of election integrity and making sure that we actually have votes and laws and protocols and rules to make sure that our elections are solid and that you can't rig an election, that's all a new idea for Donald Trump. He's not been talking about that at all for like 10 years now. No. You never heard anything from Donald Trump about our election laws. It's all something new that he's just come up with to distract from the war in Iran. When they're talking to you, they're lying. It's not even close. And yes, Chris Murphy, as you just saw in that video, stands firmly against this. 95% of Republicans, 71% of his own party, total Americans. This is on the latest polling, although these numbers, as I said, fluctuate anywhere between 80% and 95%. That's who they're opposing right now. And he's not alone. Over in the House, Debbie, what's-her-name, Schultz, with that possum caught in the headlights look, she's ready to die on the Hill, too.
Senator John Thune says he will bring the SAVE Act to a vote in the Senate. Republicans say that this is just about voters having to show ID and proof of citizenship in order to vote. What's wrong with that?
This is about one thing, ensuring that it is much harder for people who are unlikely to go to the polls and vote for Republicans, and that making it much harder for them to cast their ballot. Putting obstacles in the path of people who simply want to exercise their right to vote, which is the most precious right we have, is absolutely abhorrent.
Wow, that's a great admission here. I'm sorry, who exactly will be prevented from voting?
This is about one thing, ensuring that it is much harder for people who are unlikely to go to the polls and vote for Republicans, and that making it much harder for them to cast their ballot.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Thanks for the admission that illegal immigrants and green card holders and non-citizens and people who aren't supposed to be voting will probably vote for Democrats because you are the party of felons. You are the party of criminals. It's why all of your laws at the state, federal, and county level with your district attorneys and your prosecutors do whatever they can to keep criminals on the streets, including people who shouldn't be in this country and people who shouldn't be voting. So, yeah, you're right. Those are people who would not vote for Republicans. Hakeem Jeffries took up the cause.
Now, the United States Constitution also makes clear that only citizens can vote. That's a constitutional requirement. And states are free to implement that requirement as best they see fit. In New York State, for instance, there are strong voter identification requirements that have been embraced by both Democrats and Republicans. This is a phony issue that Donald Trump is creating.
I love this. So suddenly they're federalists. Hey, let the states decide, man. Let the states decide. Imagine if that was the argument during the Voting Rights Act debates of the 60s. You know, when Democrats filibusters and tried to stop that? Sure you do. Yeah. Hey, there's already laws that say you can't discriminate against black people at the polling place. Why do we need the Voting Rights Act? Come on, the Constitution already says that everyone needs to be treated equally. We don't need the Voting Rights Act. It's fine. Let the states decide. Let the states decide to have separate water fountains if they want, based on the color of your skin. It's the state's right. Let the states decide whether mixed-race couples should be allowed to get married. Come on. Let the states do it. But they just can't help themselves, can they? Although they'll be the first ones to pass a federal law or a constitutional amendment ensuring that women can kill their babies before they're born. But I digress. It's almost like they have inconsistencies in their arguments, isn't it? But the most important part of what he said is at the very beginning.
The United States Constitution also makes clear that only citizens can vote.
There you go. It's already there in the Constitution. We don't need a law to state that. Imagine if every single member of Congress just decided that they didn't need any statutes that actually enforce what the Constitution already states. Nobody's breaking the law out there. It's in the Constitution, and everybody knows it, so who would violate it, right? We don't need any laws about gun ownership. It's in the Constitution. We don't need any laws protecting free speech or freedom of religion or assembly. It's in the Constitution. Everybody already knows. It's such a vacuous argument. Not even worthy of Hakeem Jeffries. That's how bad it is. Where's his sombrero, by the way? Chuck Schumer also decided to take up the argument. This is the fearless leaders on the side representing the 10% of this country who don't want this to happen.
MAGA Republicans want to drag this chamber down and waste time on a bill that not too long ago was considered fringe, but now is part of the Republican mainstream. Not a single Democrat will support the SAVE Act. It's a radical bill, and if Republicans try to burn time on this legislation here on the floor, we will oppose them for as long as it takes.
It's fringe, everybody. It's fringe to want to make sure that only citizens are registered to vote. It's fringe to want to make sure that you have a photo ID to ensure that you are who you say you are. By the way, good luck trying to visit Chuck Schumer's office on Capitol Hill if you don't have a photo ID. That ain't going to happen. But yeah, we're in the fringe. Well, you know what? From Chuck Schumer's perspective and from his party's perspective, you are fringe. But, you know, viva la fringe. I'm proud to be fringe if being mainstream and popular means aligning myself with Chuck Schumer. But the fact of the matter is we have the numbers. We have the power. We have this policy. We have this issue. And if for some reason they're not able to push it through and publicly shame Democrats into such a blinding stupor that they oppose this and they stand on their hill that they want to die on, good. Then we go back to the House. The House embeds it into some bill, you know, funding our military or something else that Democrats couldn't possibly vote against. Or we just take it back to the elections in these midterms, what have you. But it's going to get done. In our lifetime, it will get done. It might just not get done this week. All right, hang on a minute. It's going fast, Kevin McMahon. It's going way too fast. Coming up in 1 minute, Nick Shirley does it again, this time exposing rampant fraud in Gavin Newsom's California. You're going to want to see it. We're going to break it all down for you. But first, crime is skyrocketing. Now, you may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, legal, and emotional weight of pulling the trigger, there's a smarter option. It's called Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. Go check it out at Byrna.com. These things are amazing. I have one. Byrna makes less lethal launchers that fire tear gas rounds, kinetic rounds that, well, are designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to escape and call for help without deadly consequences. I've been launching these little rounds in my backyard against a target, and they pack a punch. Trust me. You hit an assailant or somebody who's bothering you with this thing, they're going to feel it for quite some time. Compact launcher is sleek, it's slim, it's powerful, it's about the size of a smartphone, and it's shaped like this. It's ideal for concealed carry, comfortable, discreet, and confidence building. It fires at 400 feet per second with serious stopping power, enough to shut down a threat fast without the legal and moral complexity of lethal force. Berna is proudly American, too. I love these guys. My conference calls with them are amazing. They are so into this country. Over 80% of components are U.S. sourced, and every launcher is hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. With over 750,000 sold worldwide, Berna is the best in class. Otherwise, I wouldn't be endorsing them. It's legal in all 50 states, no background checks. It ships straight to your door because it's not a firearm. It's a Berna. Learn more at Berna.com. That's BYRNA.com. I should pour this over me Lucky Charms. It doesn't get more Irish than that. When last we saw Nick Shirley, he was knocking on the doors at the Leering centers in the frozen tundra that is Minnesota. He showed the world exactly what kind of rampant fraud is happening up there in the Somali community and under the watchful eye of Governor Tim Walz. It created an international sensation and has mobilized the Trump administration to get a new U.S. attorney just for government fraud and position Vice President J.D. Vance to oversee fraud investigations and clearing out the fraud in these federal government programs. That's from just one expose in Minnesota. And when we were watching that, I remember the first thing that came to mind was, wow, if this is Minnesota, what's it like in Illinois or New York or California? Well, we have an answer to that last question because Nick Shirley, well, he went to California. Let's watch this together. This was his first stop.
This does not look like a place where you'd want to bring your child, and it does not look suitable and set the code to be a place where children are enrolled. So they do have some children here. How many do they usually say they have, or what's the story with the children?
The last few visits from the state have said that they have 39 enrolled.
And right now we're seeing about 5 children.
Yes.
They are enrolling right now. It says Medina Learning Center is now enrolling, so let's see if little Joey can leer a little bit here at Medina. Do you have the paperwork to enroll a little boy by the name of Joey? Yes, we'd like to enroll little Joey into daycare.
They have as their backup facility the UMI Learning Center, and the UMI Learning Center was convicted in federal court in 2024 of having 150 ghost kids. So I want to find out what the affiliation is and why this facility is listed as the backup.
Yeah, can I get the paperwork to enroll a child?
Yes, I can.
Great.
What do you think about daycares being used for fraudulent businesses to receive money from the government to say they're enrolling 39 children, 89 children, and for millions of dollars be going towards these facilities? What do you think about that as you do work in a daycare?
No, it does happen. I've seen it like elsewhere. I've seen it being listening to the news. So it does happen. From time to time. Yeah.
Thank you.
The card that they gave us, this is the licensee, the person who owns it.
And that's so far been the only thing they've been able to give us as to how to enroll a child.
Seems totally legit, right? I mean, at least they spelled learning correctly, although those look like very new signs, so maybe they just sent those out for a reprint after the news of the last couple of months. Also, just as a quick side tangent, I'm curious, and you can tell me your response in the live chat or in the comment section. When you see somebody here in 2026 walking down the street or at the grocery store or interacting with you wearing one of those paper face masks there, the paper ones are always my favorite, the paper face mask there, do you think that they are a germaphobe? Do you think that they're undergoing some sort of chemotherapy or medical treatment, God forbid, so they're trying to protect themselves from an infection? Or do you think they're actually trying to hide their identity? I'm curious. I'm usually going with the latter. I'm going with option C there, Bob. Whenever I see someone wearing a mask, it says to me that they don't want you to know what their face looks like. Meanwhile, Nick Shirley toured the grounds of this Leering Center, they spelled it right, the Medina Learning Center, and he found their playground. Take a look at the playground.
And then in the back corner of this parking lot appears to be the playground. here's a bunch of garbage, and then right here appears to be the playground.
Well, I mean, this is just multitasking, right? It's a multi-purpose facility. It's a learning center. It's a playground, and it's a junkyard. So there's that. And, oh, the hobos over there, the criminal vagrants who were shooting up, that's just, well, that's our zoo, everybody. It's a petting. No, not a petting zoo. Don't touch, whatever you do. This is Gavin Newsom's California, and it got worse. That was the first stop in Nick Shirley's investigation. What a hero this man is. Here's the second stop.
Hello? I was naked, okay?
No, you weren't.
I can sue you. I was like, I wasn't dressed. I'm a Muslim.
Either way, can we enroll a child into the daycare?
You don't know what's going on?
Well, it says there's 14 children enrolled here on the state of California.
Right.
It says there's 14 children enrolled here.
You don't care.
I do care. Then where are the children?
You don't care.
Where are the children at?
It's not enough, Minnesota. You come here.
Where are the children at? Where are the children at, ma'am? All right, so what she's doing is she's making a video right now. She's gonna send it out all to all the other daycares. But at the end of the day, enrolled for 14 children, no children here. And this is from the state of California. We're not targeting Somalian population. We're just going after daycares. And it just so happens to be that all the daycares, they are Somalian so far. Where are the children at, ma'am? 14 children. Would you like to make a statement as to where the children are?
You don't care where is my children are.
Ma'am, we would not be here if we weren't asking you.
You don't care. You don't care.
What do you mean we don't care? This is why we're here.
Care. And don't record me. You don't care.
This is why we're here to ask about these
Don't ask
daycares.
me who you are. Who you are.
My name's Nick Shirley. You already know that.
Shirley, I know, but you a trouble man.
How are we making trouble? You're causing trouble.
Let me call 911.
We just want to know where the children are.
No, I'm calling 911.
For what?
To you.
For what?
You come my house.
We haven't done anything.
All right, so just so you know, when you register a business and get a business license and operate as a business, you give an address, and people are allowed to conduct business from their home. And if it is the kind of business, you know, like a daycare center or learning center, then that means that you are already giving permission to people to come up to your front door, knock on your. Also, by the way, even if it is private property, unless you have a sign posted, people are all allowed to come up to your front door and knock on the door. So I do love that she pulled out her own camera and went to TikTok. Nick Shirley's at my front door. They all know. Did you notice? Oh, we know who you are. We know who you are. You remember, did you hear her say Minnesota was enough? Oh, the word got around in the industry, if you want to call it that. My favorite part was at the very beginning. I don't know if you caught this or not. He's at her door with a camera because it's a place of business, we're told. And did you hear what she said?
Hello?
I was naked, okay?
No, you weren't.
I can sue you. I was like, I wasn't dressed. I'm a Muslim.
Either way.
I was naked, okay? I'm going to sue you. I don't think she's going to sue him. The last thing she wants is discovery. And I love Nick Shirley. He's like, you were naked. No, you're not. He's so wholesome, Nick Shirley is. All right, so that's stop number 2. Now, you tell me if you start to see a pattern of behavior here with these places. And I love Nick, by the way. He's like, people are accusing me of going after the Somali community. We don't know who these people are. It's not our fault that it's all run by Somali refugees who have lied to get into the country and are now stealing millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars from the American taxpayer. I mean, you take the pirate out of Somalia, but you can't take the Somalia out of the pirate, something like that. I don't know. Put the pieces together. You know what I'm saying. Here's stop number 3, and you tell me if you see a pattern of behavior.
Is this Habubu Family Child Care? Yeah, we were wondering if we could enroll a child into the daycare here.
We know you. You need to get up from here because there is trespassing. You see the sign we have trespassing?
And can I speak with somebody on the sidewalk? Would you just like to speak with somebody? Yes, sir.
Hide the sign, please.
Yes, we're right here. Can we talk to you really quick, sir?
Talk to you. What are you talking
Can I come talk to you, please? All right, so right now the current situation is we have some people yelling through the Ring doorbell cam. A man came out, started yelling, and then we also have this car recording us as well. But we just want to ask for some clarification for the American people.
4 different visits. The state inspectors have shown up. There's kids enrolled anywhere from 7 and 7 kids and up, and every single time the state has showed up, 0.
0 children.
That's the state of California.
We're just asking for
saying
some
this.
clarification. They won't even answer any of our questions.
Yeah, by the way, you did hear them say, look at the sign. That's why he went out to the sidewalk, because they did have a sign posted. But again, if it's a functioning daycare center and a business, which you're going to put your kid in that place, you should still be able to take customers and clientele coming up to your door. But that said, he followed all the rules. He followed all the protocols. And, well, that was stop number 3. Okay, how about the 4th stop? Buckle up, everybody, because this one's rough. This is what's going on in this child care center that Nick Shirley just happened to randomly investigate.
We just arrived at the daycare. We have 2 kids out here. I don't know if they're members of the daycare. There's no oversight right here. Can we talk to your teacher? Is your teacher there? So this is the first child we've ever encountered at one of these daycares. There's 2 kids out here right now, and we're gonna see if we can talk to the
Licensee. It is, according to this paperwork, Shukri Jama.
Can we talk to the adult?
He is not here.
Not here.
Yeah.
So you guys all by yourself?
Yeah. Knock on the door.
No one's here.
No one is not here.
Okay, so you guys are all by yourself?
Okay. I can see by myself.
Yeah, okay, that's concerning.
Yeah, that's concerning, all right. They finally found kids at one of these daycare centers, and the kids were left alone. Well, luckily, it looked like a really safe and secure neighborhood where, nothing could happen. This goes well beyond tax fraud, doesn't it? This is a crime against humanity, what's going on here. And it's all being done in your name with your money. And if you dare to suggest that maybe this stuff should be investigated or looked at, or maybe we should cut off this funding until we can get a hold of it, you're told that you want to harm children, that you have hate in your soul against children. Don't you ever take a back seat to these people when it comes to compassion for children? I'm sorry. They are the ones who are funding and protecting and supporting and implementing and expanding programs that look the other way when this happens. We're the ones with compassion. We're the ones who actually want to help children. They don't see children as anything but tools and weapons to use for their own power. Don't you dare in any way let them shout you down and say that you have hate. Anyone who protects this, they're the ones with hate. All right, a little bit more. Now, this time, we turn to a Medicare facility, I believe this one is. Nick Shirley just on a roll here in California.
So this hospice location, Miracle Healing Hospice, in 2023, they charged $1.3 million, and per beneficiary, it was $32,000 for 38 beneficiaries. Per beneficiary, that comes out to $32,000, $935. Let's see if Grandma could check herself into this one. I'm just trying to be a good grandson. We're knocking the door, no one's coming. We look inside the window, empty building. In 2023, this place received $1.3 million.
Not a single piece of furniture.
Nothing.
Insane.
Yeah, insane is right. And who's investigating this? By the way, I just want to point out that, 20 years ago, 60 Minutes does an investigation exactly like this. They win Emmy Awards. Nick Shirley does it. And, well, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom's office, they attack Nick Shirley. His press office posted this today, suggesting that Nick Shirley is like a pedophile or something because he's actually doing journalism. Now, I'd like to show you all the posts of professional, capital J, I went to journalism school journalists leaping to Nick Shirley's defense and attacking Gavin Newsom's press secretary for doing this. I would like to show that to you. I can't. It didn't happen. Where's Jake Tapper, the only serious journalist in Washington, D.C., after all? Where's Dana Milbank, who just got fired from the Washington Post because they're not doing real journalism anymore? Where's all those reporters from the Washington Post? But by the way, all those reporters of the Washington Post that got laid off and was told it was going to be the death of journalism, where are they with a camera doing what Nick Shirley is doing? No, but instead, we get the leading candidate for president. We get his press office basically accusing Nick Shirley of being some sort of creepy pedophile looking to take pictures of children. Yeah, that's right. He got some images of children who had been abandoned by a program paid for by Gavin Newsom. By the way, Nick saw this. Look at the ratio on it, by the way. 9,500 comments to 2,000 retweets. Nick Shirley responded. He said, "You do realize I'm trying to help America eliminate fraud and waste, right? No need to try and make me look like the bad guy for exposing fraud. People are over it. Start working for the people and not against them." Well said, Mr. Shirley. You're wise before your years. We've got more of Nick Shirley's video. And by the way, you've got to watch the whole thing. Please grab it. Whatever platform you're on right now, Nick is posting there. I think he probably would prefer you go to his YouTube account and watch it there and subscribe to his channel, because he deserves all the support you can give him right now for this incredible work. But before we continue with Nick's report, I want to show you a couple of things that President Trump said yesterday from the Oval regarding fraud. Take a listen.
Everyone knows they've been cheating for years. It's the first ever. And it's got to be stopped. I mean, it's got to be stopped. Think of it. Somalia is a third world, maybe a fourth world nation. One of the worst, one of the most dangerous. They don't have anything. They don't have councils. They don't have government. They don't have police. They shoot each other all over the place. They come here and they steal $19 billion. That's crazy. And Ilhan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our.
All right, so this was during a signing ceremony. You saw Vice President J.D. Vance there because he's going to be put in charge of, thanks to the signing ceremony from the president, executive proclamation, that J.D. Vance will be heading up the effort to root out as much of this fraud as possible. You heard him get the marching orders there. Ilhan Omar might be in this country illegally. And that's true, by the way. If she lied on her immigration paperwork about the status of her marriage to allegedly her brother, then she is deportable. And President Trump made that a priority. Then one of the reporters in the room asked, why do you think leaders in recent years haven't really focused on this or cared about this?
You said during your State of the Union that this type of fraud, the corruption, is the type of thing that can shred the fabric of a nation. Why do you suppose then that leaders in recent memory haven't looked at the systemic amount of fraud that's taking place? And
because they're crooked. They make money. They gain power. They use it for power. Like with the Somalians, they vote in a block, 100%. They make a deal with the Somalians. They all vote because they're on a gravy train. It's coming. It's money first, power second. A lot of people say power first. No, it's money first, power second. Do you ever see where, like, Mercedes? People come over from Somalia, they have no money, and now they're buying Mercedes-Benz cars. Okay? It's more cash goes out of the Minnesota airport than any other place in the world or so. We're going to find it. And Minnesota is really bad. The governor's corrupt. The attorney general is totally corrupt. Just like the New York State attorney general, Letitia James. She's a highly corrupt person. Bragg, the DA, is a corrupt person. They're all corrupt. These are corrupt people. And we got too many of them in our country. And we have to expose them, and we have to catch them. And if these two guys can't, these are high IQ people. I've always liked high IQ. These are high IQ people. If they don't do it, we're going to go a long way, fellas, to find somebody else that's going to. We have no choice. If honestly, and they may not do a good job. If they don't do a good job,
thank you, sir.
it's possible. If they don't do a good job, the country's sort of in trouble.
All right. Good answer to a good question. Why haven't leaders looked into this before? Well, because leaders end up gaining power because of this. That's Tim Walz right there. Somali community is corrupt. I'll tell you what, guys, you vote for us. We're looking the other way. We won't prosecute you. We'll keep the money flowing. In fact, we'll make sure we expand these programs and get more money from the feds. You just keep voting for us. Nice little stance we got going here. Oh, and by the way, some of that money you end up getting, just kick it back to our political action committees, into our campaigns, and to the party. You know, one good turn deserves another. Exactly what it's all about. And you heard the president there talking about people who come to this country from a fourth world nation, as he called them, and then before you know it, they're all driving Mercedes. And you may be thinking, oh, come on, that's overstating the case. There goes Trump again with his rhetoric, with his, taking things and blowing them out of proportion and, hyperbole. I mean, nobody's coming from a third world or fourth world nation like Somalia and then suddenly driving a Mercedes, right? Right? Well, Nick then decided to investigate in Southern California a consultant firm. They set people up with these learning centers. They set people up with these hospice and daycare centers and Medicare assistant centers. These are the people who are running the show. These are the people. It's like, one of those network marketing schemes. Did I just make the shape of a pyramid? I sure did. Yeah, where, sure, we'll start you on your business. Here's how you do it. Here's how you apply for the federal money. Here's the paperwork that you fill out. Oh, don't worry whether it's true or not. It doesn't matter, right? And we'll get you go, oh, and then you got to kick back some of it to us for setting you up, right? This is how these things work. So who's at the top of the pyramid? Who are the people who are setting up all of these leering centers all around Southern California? All right, let's see what Nick learned.
We were denied service by the potential fraudsters, and as we were leaving, one of the fraudsters started to leave from the back in a $200,000 Maybach.
And we have a Mercedes-Benz driving up. Where can we open a hospice at? We'd like to open up a hospice. Get a Maybach just like you. So is this how I can get a Maybach by opening up my own hospice?
Now, after seeing all the wealth that is being created from these hospice centers, I headed back to the original location where we found over 15 hospices in one plaza. I wanted to make sure it wasn't a fluke that Armenian mafia members were running the show and that there weren't just randomly $100,000 cars the day I went by. And this time, it was even worse.
Sir, how are you? Good. So what do you think about all this hospice fraud? Sir, you're in the Cybertruck, driving away, taking money from old people. Yet he's just driving away in his Cybertruck, won't even answer any questions. Let's see, we have another rich person as well that's getting rich off this hospice. This guy's leaving as well. So the two people that walked out of Holy Angels, they're in a brand new Cybertruck and a new BMW. How lucrative of a business is hospice? I'm seeing a Cybertruck here in a nice BMW. It's good. Yeah, because it looks like, for instance, Guardian of Angels, that used to be here, $4.8 million they billed the state of California. And how many clients do you guys have?
Brother, do you have a badge? Do I need to answer your question?
I'm just curious.
It's not mine. I just work.
Yeah. You must be getting paid pretty well, right?
Bro, this is my parents, bro.
Do your parents run the hospice?
They don't work.
No. Who's that guy in the Cybertruck? He's your uncle. So it's like a family business to own the hospices. But why was he walking out of the hospice then too?
Brother, can you leave me alone?
Like these hospices, there's nothing inside of them.
If it's not you guys, how come you're in the newest BMW and the newest Cybertruck?
Brother, because
I can only imagine what the guy who's in charge is.
Just all the other hospices? Do you like taking care of old people? Like, are you the one going out visiting the hospice patients, sir? Uh-oh, he's gonna have to do another point turn.
Yeah, you guys are in my fucking way. Move.
Well, you could just go that way. What's the key to opening up a hospice if I wanted to open up one? Because you're in the family business of hospices. If I want to open my own?
Pam Bondi, are you watching this, please? Please? Anyone from DOJ? I'd ask for Harmeet Dillon, but I don't think this is a civil rights violation. Yes, I know we have a brand new U.S. attorney. That's who was standing next to J.D. Vance to specifically look at fraud. But you don't have to wait for him to be in place. For God's sake, you just got his face. You've got the license plates. Maybe call Nick Shirley. Award-winning investigative journalism. Except he hasn't gotten an award. Wonder why. Where are all the other journalists? Why is it just Nick Shirley? By the way, real quick, you may have seen the scene in the Oval Office there as the president was addressing this yesterday. In the background there was Stephen Miller. You saw him? Well, we have a rule here on this program. When Stephen Miller speaks, we listen, and we make sure you hear it too.
So under President Trump's leadership, and then of course with JD and the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, we're going to see the first ever effort in American history to reclaim the ultimately trillions of dollars that were stolen from taxpayers. I believe, and I know President Trump believes, that when this theft is exposed, we will see that if all of it were stopped, it would be enough to balance the budget. The extraction of wealth from American taxpayers to people who don't belong here is the primary cause of the national debt, and this is the first ever effort to shut that down. Thank you, Mr.
Amen, brother Miller. It's 100% right. And I'll just end this with it. First of all, Nick Shirley, for crying out loud. Incredible work. Great job. We support you literally in every possible way, and we will continue to throw a chunk of change your way to support you for your journalism. We want to direct as many of our audience to your outlets and your channels so that your audience grows and grows and grows. Watch your back. Keep your head on a swivel. Take security with you, please, because you are an existential threat to these criminals. But I appreciate everything you are doing, Nick. Andrew Breitbart would be so proud of you right now. It's absolutely incredible. And Stephen Miller is right. Absolutely right. The amount of fraud that we're seeing right now play out before our very eyes probably does equate to our debt. Here's the thing that you need to know about the left. These are the people who created these programs, fund these programs, demand these programs, oversee these programs, expand these programs, and they're supposed to be in charge at the governor's level and attorney general's level in these states of enforcing these programs to make sure that there's no fraud. So you think it's a coincidence that this is all going on in their states? You think it's a coincidence that they wanted all these programs and the money is going to all these illegal immigrants and they're not enforcing the law and making sure that this fraud isn't happening, and all they do is ask for more expansion and more money? Because who are the political left in this country? Who are they? They are socialists. They are Marxists. They are constantly screaming about income inequality, about trying to level the playing field financially, about raising taxes and then redistributing it to the poor, unwashed masses. This is what it looks like when they can't actually enact those policies legitimately because you, as an American, have an inherent repulsion to the idea of Marxism and socialism and communism. So you say, oh, hell no, we're not going to do that. You're not taking my money and then redistributing it to your chosen winners or losers and allow them to become your new powerful political bloc that you can count on to retain your power. No, include us out. We're not going to be a part of that. See, that's in your DNA. You're an American. So you'll never go along with it. So instead what they do is say, we've got children who need daycare and early learning centers because they graduate from the schools that we control and that we run and we populate with our teachers union members, and those children are graduating illiterate, and so they need an early learning center. And these are immigrant children who are coming here because of a poem at the base of the Statue of Liberty, and how dare you white privileged bastard, for not doing something for them. And finally, you knuckle under, or your representative knuckles under and says, fine, fund your daycare center. What the hell do I care? Just do your daycare center and get out of my way. Let me live my life. Let me work and follow the rules and take care of my family. You want your daycare center? Stop getting in my face and whining about it. So they set up their daycare center, and that's how they redistribute wealth. And that's what you're seeing. How do they get their Mercedes? How do they get their BMW? How do they get their Cybertruck? That's the American dream. And it's because when Democrats can't cram Marxism down your throat, because you're repulsed by the idea, well, then they sneak it in the back door. And that's what this is about. And that's why they keep it going. And it's got to end now. Coming up in just 1 minute, actor Jerry O'Donnell tries to defend woke Hollywood, and Bill Maher, he ain't taking it. It's really instructive, actually, and we'll show it to you in just a second. Well, just a minute. But first, think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. Today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth over $150,000. That's why so many Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. Gold can insulate you in times of war, geopolitical instability, and high inflationary periods. And the company I recommend to help you buy gold is Birch Gold Group. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you, too. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. All you got to do is text my name, Larry, to the number 989898. You're going to receive a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. They've got an A+ with the Better Business Bureau, tens of thousands of happy customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. That's peace of mind. Text my name, Larry, to 989898. Again, text Larry to 989898 today. Message and data rates may apply. So Bill Maher's got this podcast. It seems good. Everybody sits around and drinks. I think Bill Maher's getting high. And they talk. And he brings in political people. He brings in media people. He brings in actors. And this week, he had actor Jerry O'Donnell. You remember him. He goes all the way back to that, the Rob Reiner film about the Stephen King, Stand By Me. Stand By Me. Good movie. He was a kid. He was a little kid. He's a Hollywood kid. He was a child actor. And I think he does pretty good work. I think he's funny. Except here's the problem. He's a creature of Hollywood. And so as my old friend and mentor, Andrew Breitbart, used to say, since he was raised in Southern California, his default setting is liberal. You know, you come out of the box already preset at liberal. And unless something happens in your life to actually change your perspective and make you think a second time about all the things you know are true, well, you're just going to stay that way. So Jerry O'Donnell sort of represents that beautifully. But watch what happens when he's faced with some very real, hard, and honest truths about woke Hollywood and everything he thought he believed. All right, let's start with this. He talks about how excited and energized and hyped he was to go to a Kamala rally back in 2014.
I went to a Kamala Harris rally. My wife and I donated to the campaign. Oof. And Megan Thee Stallion played. And that was pretty fucking epic, Bill, if you were there. I mean, it really invigorated, excitement, you know?
It really invigorated the people who were already going to vote for her anyway. That's who invigorated.
There is no correct, Bill. There is no correct.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can jerk each other off all day long. Kamala Harris lost all 7 swing states. I mean, she went 0 for 7 where the election was. I mean, that's not, you have to almost try to fuck up that badly. You know, as I've said many times, they lost a crazy contest against a crazy person. So, you know, you do you.
So did you see the look on his face because I have no doubt that Jerry O'Donnell goes to, cocktail parties and dinner parties, and they all talk about the election and politics, and everybody agrees. And he's like, I went to that rally, and it was just so invigorating, and it was so amazing. I just can't understand how she lost with that. And everyone's like, yeah, I know. Isn't stupid, crazy red America, right? Or Trump rigged it, or Russian collusion, or whatever. And Bill Maher just says a very basic thing. It's like, yeah, everybody in that room was already going to vote for her. And did you see the look on his face? Did you see? I'm just real fast. You just got to see the look.
People
on his
who
face.
were already going to vote for her anyway. That's who invigorated.
There is no correct, Bill. There is no correct.
Yeah, he's like, okay, you're right. And this is just the beginning of the re-education of one Jerry O'Donnell. take a look at this moment where Bill Maher, and again, Jerry's a normal dude, okay? I've actually met the guy before, back when I used to work and live in Hollywood, and I think secretly, in his heart, he's actually a conservative because he's a normal person, right? But he can't for a lot of reasons that we'll unpack as this segment goes on. But Bill Maher makes a point about people in Hollywood who aren't Jerry O'Donnell, the ones who end up being the face and voice of the Hollywood elite on behalf of their pet projects. Here.
Democrats really need to cut loose the celebrities. They're not helping. They don't strike people as normal because they're fucking not. Democrats already have a problem with people thinking that they are not the common sense crowd. And then when they see, the Chapel Roans and the Billie Eilishes of the world who don't act like normal people, and then whatever they're saying just strikes everybody in America who's a normal person as, oh God, here's more of this stuff where you can't relate to a real life. And of course, there was comedy in there about it's so easy to show celebrities acting crazy.
That is correct. It's part of our business model over here on this program, and we'll continue to do it. Thanks for noticing, Bill. Okay, and now we go deep into the conversation. And trust me, this is illuminating and, by the way, instructive, because part of what we try to do here on this program is to give you ammunition for when you have to face either your kid or your son-in-law or somebody that you work with at your office or some maniac on your Facebook page or even, the suburban mom from the next cul-de-sac over who's standing on the sidelines with you watching 6-year-olds follow a soccer ball around the field and you've got nothing else to talk about because they're all influenced by Hollywood and they're influenced by these topics, these subjects where they only think at one level, the primary level, and they don't actually do a deep dive and think about the consequences of their policies. That's what Bill does here with Jerry O'Donnell. This is really important. Take a look.
Why we sometimes separate boys and girls. Boy Scouts now have girls in them. I think this is ridiculous. It's called the Boy Scouts. Do you have to always be fucking stupidly counterintuitive about everything? Girls, they also need time when they're just with girls because they can't be around these knuckleheads.
Yeah.
You look like you're angry about this.
No, I'm not angry. I'm just trying to think about it. And I'm like, this is really what I try to do. I try not to get angry about these things, Bill. Okay. And I try to think, what I was thinking was, why would they do that? And maybe it's to take away stigma of gender. I don't know.
I'll tell you why, Jerry, they do it. Because the kind of assholes who live here amongst us, the kind of super woke people, they live to have themselves thought of as the good people, as the social justice warriors. So they're always looking for some new marginalized people to champion. And of course, the very thought of it is noble. And I get it. And I'm an old school liberal.
100%.
We've always been there for this.
100%.
And they take it just 10 subway stops too far
100%.
to places where it's just about making them feel like they're doing something. And you know what? You're not Rosa Parks. You're not anybody who's doing anything. You're just trying to be this sort of social justice warrior. And there's no war that needs to happen here. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, there's no hate crime happening. Okay, it's just about the way it really is with boys and girls.
I think I can speak on this as someone who has two 17-year-old girls here in Los Angeles.
I thought you said you had young kids.
They're 17 now. They were young when they watched
oh, I see.
Full House. And I'm going to get back to that story as well. But I see their contemporaries dealing with this stuff. Please blow it this way. I need it more than ever now.
Okay.
Right over here.
Just take a hit. For fuck's sake. I mean, what is wrong with you?
I see it, and really, I'm sure you're the same way. The goal is to make them feel as safe as possible, especially at that precarious age. It's such a tough age.
And I'm saying it just is sometimes the case with the woke people that they are their own worst enemies with so much of this shit. You're talking about your boyfriend, Mamdami, in New York. A lot. I don't know what the tally.
My boyfriend, but
I don't know what the tally
casually
is.
seeing each other.
I don't know what the tally is now, but it's in the at least high teens of homeless people who have died in the freezing because it's just not the policy of the woke to ever think that we could like forcibly get people off the street, which is what we used to think.
Right.
Old
Well, there
school
were vagrancy
liberals.
laws. When I was younger, there was no vagrancy.
It was what we thought was compassionate to not be sleeping in fucking 0-degree weather on the sidewalk, as opposed to their, you know, protecting them like they're some sort of endangered species in their natural habitat. So I only bring this up to say, analogous to, and I could name 10 things, and I don't want to because I don't want this to be so political, but where the woke people go way past where liberals like me and sensible people are to a place that is ridiculous.
I totally hear what you're saying.
Okay.
That said, I think you're trying to inflict your ideas on a city that voted for Mamdani and voted for Karen Bass. Like, this is where we live.
I'm always trying to inflict my ideas.
I shouldn't have said inflict.
No.
Infect. Sorry.
I love that. That's
Sorry.
hysterical.
Goo. What did you call it?
Yeah. He's funny, and it's supposed to be a funny podcast, but and that is a remarkable reply, actually. So you're trying to inflict your ideas on them. Well, what do you think they do all the time? That's what we do. One man's attempt to make a case for what he believes and what he stands for is another man's, how dare you inflict your ideas on us? Okay, that's fine. Pretty sure Zohran Mamdani inflicted his views on Marxism on the people of New York, and guess what? They decided they agreed, I guess, or they just hated Andrew Cuomo that much. But regardless of that, what Maher said is absolutely correct. That's why they do what they do, because they think they're better. They think they have moral superiority. But I would add one more thing. They don't have to live with the consequences of their policies and their positions. You think that most of the people who were paying for the radical reimagination of the Boy Scouts ever actually had their kids in the Boy Scouts? No. I mean, they may put their girls in the Boy Scouts now, but of course not. That's the one step in the entire process that Bill Maher needs to understand as well. They never live with the consequences. They inflict these policies on public schools, and they never put their kids in public schools. They vote to raise taxes, and then they have a second home in Idaho or Tennessee that they go to and never actually have to pay those taxes, and on and on and on and on. But it makes them feel great and wonderful and empowered and virtuous to promote all of the things that they promote, even though they destroy civilizations. The homeless criminal vagrant issue is the perfect example. We have known since the Dark Ages about public health policies with regard to people living in the streets and defecating in the streets and living in their own filth. This is nothing new. We know that's bad for a civilization. We know that it's bad for all of us, and we really know that it's bad for the people who are living in their filth. But to be enlightened in a left-wing society like Los Angeles, you've got to be okay with that. You've got to support it. You've got to promote it. And then suddenly you'll see that all of the people from woke Hollywood don't live in Los Angeles anymore. They've got a place in Montana where conservatives keep the place clean. That's who they are. And you got to think that Jerry knows that. You sort of saw him understanding it and moving along. So you must ask yourself, what is it? It would be flippant and, frankly, somewhat accurate to suggest that maybe Jerry O'Donnell doesn't really think deeply about these things because, well, he's an actor and has been since he was a child, which means, you know, not a whole lot of academic rigor there with the studio tutors that make sure that they dot the I's and cross the T's on the forms that they have to give to the state of California to prove that there's a studio tutor on set. But let's face it, there's not a rigorous testing standard there. And since he's been able to be a successful actor his entire career, he's never been forced to think too hard other than making sure that you've got the right agent, getting you the right deal, and that you have the right script that doesn't have too many multisyllabic words in it to memorize. But there's something else at play here. And in this final clip, he kind of reveals it.
I'm going to tell you about a bit of. I say this, will I stay married? Blow it over here. My
sounds like you're going to blow it over here.
The night of the election, this third one.
Yeah.
Third election. Everyone knows what I'm talking about here.
He's talking about the 2024 election, by the way, just in case you didn't know. And this clip from Vigilant Fox, who does great video matchups of these segments. You saw it started with him with his two girls. He mentioned his two 17-year-old daughters, right? And I just want you to notice how pained he is. He even said just now, am I going to get divorced for saying this? How pained and tortured he is as he tells this story. By the way, his wife, Rebecca Romaine, she used to be Rebecca Romaine Stamos because she was married to John Stamos of Full House. You remember her as in the original X-Men movies, right? Beautiful woman, by the way. It's interesting, though, because I've always had a hunch, and I think I'm right, that John Stamos leans to the right politically. He got into a little public dust-up there because he emceed an event at Mar-a-Lago, and he had to grovel and apologize to Hollywood for doing that. But he also appears regularly with the Beach Boys, and Mike Love from the Beach Boys is one of his very good friends, and Mike Love is, I mean, he was in the audience at CPAC one year when I emceed the Reagan dinner. I mean, he's a Reagan Republican, right? So, you know, when you're hanging out with, I'm just saying, I think John Stamos, Rebecca's ex-husband, is one of us, even though he's not allowed to say it publicly. So it is interesting to know that there's some political history there, right? It's interesting to know that as he's tortured in how he tells this thing about his wife and his children, he is pausing and thinking about every word he's about to say and what the ramifications will be. As he just said, am I going to get divorced for this? Knowing that his current wife used to be married to a guy that almost got canceled because he emceed a dinner at Mar-a-Lago, right? Are you with me? Are we tracking? Okay, so let's watch this.
I was watching late at night the returns, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Trump was going to win. I live in California. I didn't think he was going to win. From what I was hearing.
I didn't either.
I think he was going to win.
No,
this is where I live, you know?
Yeah.
I said something along the lines of like, there was no planning. This is what they get. There should have been a primary. I said something along those lines, you know? Like I was just spitballing ideas as to, it was a shock, you know? My wife and daughters, without saying anything, became physical with me. They were filled with rage. So if I am being careful with you in how I say things, yes, I live in California. I live with not one, not two, but three people who, if I made any kind of joke, they would, they'd become very angry with me, you know? I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I couldn't live that way. I would, whatever household or whatever situation I'm in, I say what I truly think, and if it makes you angry, I'm sorry, we'll have to work that out. Well, it makes... But I am not going to tuck my tail between my legs and just shut the fuck up. This is what you were dealing with when you were a child. Just sit there and don't say anything. Yeah, sit on your hands. But what happened to Rob Reiner? More of that, Jerry. More of that. Yeah. Where's Rob Reiner's ghost when you need him to be telling you more of that? Yeah.
That's hard to watch. But it's pretty instructive, isn't it? Jerry O'Donnell is surrounded by liberal white women. One of them he loves and sleeps with. The other two he loves in a different way as their father. And, well, I guess knowing that, he does what he's got to do to keep the peace, if not stay happy. And listen, I'm never going to criticize a man for doing what he has to do to keep his marriage. Far be it from me. But let this be educational to everybody watching, that this is a reality and there's a whole lot more of this than you'll ever believe. Can I tell you a secret? I bet Jerry voted for Trump. All right, that's it for today's show. Once again, let's raise one for Nick Shirley and for the great St. Patrick. I nursed this. I have not sipped this since the last break because I wanted to make sure I could down it at the end. That's what they say about the Larry O'Connor show. You can down a pint of Guinness during one sitting. It was hot. I prefer it on draft, obviously. And it disturbs me that the Notre Dame logo is on here. I know that's an Irish thing, but I don't like Notre Dame. Don't forget to like our video today. Don't forget to give us a subscribe. And while you're at it, do not forget to subscribe to Nick Shirley's channel. I feel like I'm promoting his channel more today than mine. And you're right. He deserves it. All right, let's get to your super chats, if you don't mind, on this joyful St. Patrick's Day. Oh, we've got a Rumble one. Sorry. Let's do that. $1 from Angela, Child of God, over on Rumble. We are the party who protects children from conception to adulthood. Democrats want to murder them before they're born or mutilate them after. If that doesn't work, let's use them for fraud. I think she means let's sue them for fraud. If that doesn't work, let's use the children for fraud. Thank you, Angela. Very, very well stated. Okay, Stumble Boots. You're cool too. Happy St. Patty's Day, my friend. Did you see my shirt, by the way, everybody? Oh, never mind. It says, "Kiss me. I'm an O'Connor." No, Irish legend. I have a lot of St. Patrick's Day shirts. Harry Grafton loves the Penguins. $10 super chat. They can't vote for Save America Act because it contradicts their first promise to Obama, the Destroy America Act. By the way, whatever happened to the power of the pen Obama touted constantly? That's right. I got a phone and I got a pen. Thank you, Harry. Go Pens. God's best friend, £2 super chat. You're too stupid to vote. Can I count on your vote? Yeah, that's the Democrats' motto. Yolanda with a $2 super chat. Get the damn law passed. Amen, Yolanda. Let's see what happens. They're gonna take to the floor tomorrow. Aaron Croft, $2 super chat. Love the show, Larry. Happy St. Patty's. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. GBF, £2 super chat. Poor little Joey. Nobody loves him. Oh, Nick Shirley's little kid Joey that he wants to get in daycare. It is sad. We don't want your kid here. Dave, $1.99 super chat. I listened to Larry to learn how to speak good. Did I make some grammatical malapropisms today, Kevin?
No,
you're not speaking well.
You're a wordsmith.
No, what did I say? Did I say something? Did I mangle something?
I don't think so. You think I'm listening to you while you talk?
That's fair. That's fair. He's playing Call of Duty while I do. Kevin, what's your video game of choice? It's not Call of Duty.
Oh, I'm an older, more mature man now. Those days are behind me.
You don't play ever?
Rarely, if ever. I got too much work to do. You know?
That's true. I don't play as much as I used to. Well, on the weekends, I'll play because I'm the first one awake in my house. So I'll try to crank out some games while I listen to podcasts. But and I haven't played since January 5th because that's part of Exodus 90. I'm almost, once we hit Easter, I am going to be unplugged. Feisty, $5 super chat. Here we have the crack corner. The slide is for naps. The swings and merry-go-round are for the hallucination enthusiasts. Exactly. That was the tour of the daycare. It's sad. Thank God there were no kids out playing in that. My guess is that you have to have a playground to get the federal funding in case the state comes to inspect. So that was it. And here's the real thing about that story. At some point, when that place was opened, a state of California inspector walked around just like Nick Shirley did, looked at the playground and said, "Yep, looks good to me. Here you go. Bill us for $1.5 million. GBF, £2 super chat. Little Joey like a refugee boat circa 1938. Well, I do wonder what happened to little Joey. Lynette with a $1.99 super chat. If it wasn't true, Gavin wouldn't need the meme. That's true. Trying to distract from the reality of the story. That's right. Psychological Projectionist has £2 super chat. No wonder D's can conjure up angry crowds instantly. Because they're all on the dole. That's right. It's part of the income redistribution. UK Patrick, £5 super chat. VP fans must get Nick Shirley on his task force and train hundreds of others to do the same. Investigating is one thing. Showing it is just as vital. I agree. I hope that the vice president's office is communicating with Nick and providing him some security. I worry about Nick. Thank you. Kevin, what are your plans for this St. Patrick's Day?
Oh, I might have a pint or two.
A little pint or two. Are you going to your local pub?
I don't know. I'm going to play it by ear.
We probably shouldn't tell people where we're going. Yeah. We're not going anywhere together. He's over there in Northern Virginia. I'm up here in the Annapolis area in Maryland. Annapolis is known for a lot of pubs, though, including, well, because, before the Naval Academy is there, Annapolis was famous as a very early years of the colony of Maryland in like 1645. And when it was founded, it was a shipping town, a big port town, which means pirates. So what happens when you got a lot of ships coming in, bringing in stuff? When you got a lot of sailors, it means you're going to have pubs, pirates, and prostitutes. That's right. So no wonder they decided to put the Naval Academy there. Just saying. So I've got my pick of the little there in Annapolis for pubs, and I'm gonna you know what? I'm gonna get myself some shepherd's pie, I think, instead of the corned beef. I like the shepherd's pie. All right, that's it for me. We're done. In fact, now I'm hungry. Now I want another Guinness. Do you like Guinness, Kevin? I'm just forcing you to interact today because you said something earlier before the show that you want to stay in the background and not say much. So now I'm gonna make you.
You're a cruel boss here, Mr. O'Connor.
I am. Do you like Guinness or what kind of beer do you like?
I like Guinness, but Smithwick's is my favorite Irish beer.
Oh, look at you. Do you like Boddington's British ale? Have you ever had Boddington's?
No, of course not. Are you kidding me?
You don't like Boddington? Oh, because you're being Irish.
Yeah, I'm being Irish.
You won't drink that English slop.
That swill.
I like Boddington's. Boddington's is good. We've got a lot of viewers in England right now, right? Dark bitter beer is the best, says J-Po. Shepherd's pie sounds good to me, says Casper. Oh, Casperius over there on Rumble. See, we can see the comments on Rumble. We just can't see the super chats. Thank you, Casperius. All right, should we go for another hour? What do you think, Kevin?
If we do that, I might be here till 9 p.m.
Oh, that's right. Your post-show work is arduous when the show goes long. All right, then that's it. We're done. I'm off to the pub. Thank you I'm off to Mass and then the pub. Thanks for watching. We will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Are you wearing green, Kevin?
Always.
Prove it.
Tomorrow.
Bad hair day. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. In the meantime, my name's Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry.